They say truth hides in the dark, not from fear, but from purity. I didn't believe that until I walked into Hollow Pines. My name's Daniel Crow, and if you're reading this, it means someone found what I buried. The town no longer exists on maps. It's as if it was never there, but I remember every detail. The peeling paint on the chapel, the rusting gas station, and the diner that only served coffee past midnight. I wasn't looking for trouble. I was a documentarian, the kind that chases folklore and urban myths for a YouTube audience hungry for fear. Hollow Pines was supposed to be my next clickbait. Instead, it swallowed every truth I knew. I arrived just after dusk. The GPS had stopped working an hour before, but the old road sign still pointed the way. Only the Purest. One wooden sign whispered, barely visible beneath layers of ivy. I laughed then, thinking it was a joke from the 50s, maybe some forgotten religious community. I didn't know what it meant. Not yet. The first person I met was a girl named June. She looked 16, maybe 17, barefoot and quiet. Her eyes followed me like she was reading my intentions. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice soft but clear. Hollow Pines don't like liars. I wasn't a liar. Not really. But I wasn't pure either. June walked away before I could respond, vanishing behind the chapel with its crooked steeple. I remember filming that moment. The footage didn't save. It was just static and a strange, low-frequency hum that didn't match anything I'd heard before. I checked into the only motel in town. The sign above flickered, reading "Simply Rest." No one manned the front desk. A single key was waiting for me. Room 6. The walls were paper-thin, and I could hear someone humming through the vent. The tune was off, disjointed, almost hypnotic. I unpacked my camera gear and tried to upload a clip, but there was no Wi-Fi, no signal. I made the choice to stay anyway. Curiosity is a powerful poison. The next day, I explored. Hollow Pines was small. 15 houses, a chapel, a diner, the motel, and a single gas pump that didn't work. I tried to interview the locals. Most ignored me. A man named Harold finally talked. He was in his 70s, eyes clouded like he'd seen things no man should. "The Pines ain't for outsiders," he muttered. "They let you in, but they don't always let you out. Unless you're pure. You pure, son?" I gave him a half laugh, unsure if he was joking. He didn't laugh back. "They watch," he whispered, looking past me. Through the trees, always watching. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing whispers. Not in the room, but inside my head, like someone had tuned into my thoughts. I took a walk to clear my mind and saw June again. She was at the edge of the woods, standing still, staring into the trees. When I approached, she didn't look at me. "You lied earlier," she said. "You said you were here to film. But you're here to prove something. To yourself." I tried to speak, but my throat closed up. She turned, eyes glassy. "The Pines know. They always know." Back in my motel room, I reviewed the footage. My camera had recorded something while I was gone. The bed was empty, but the chair in the corner slowly rocked back and forth on its own. The humming returned, this time louder. That was the first night I considered leaving. But I didn't, because just before the footage ended, a shadow crossed the wall. No one was in the room. Not physically. Day 3, I met Rebecca, the diner waitress. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in weeks. When I asked about the town's history, she sighed. We were founded by a preacher in 1874, Pastor Jeremiah Dale. He believed purity could summon paradise. Not religious purity, but the purity of intent. No lies, no shame, no guilt, just absolute clarity of heart. I asked what happened to him. She paused before answering. They say he walked into the woods and never came out. But every few decades, someone hears his voice, and someone disappears. That evening, June came to my motel door. She asked if I wanted to know the truth. I followed her without question. We went behind the chapel, where the trees grew thicker and bent inward, forming a natural arch. She stopped before entering. Once you step through, they see you fully. Not just your face, your soul. I didn't believe in souls. I do now. The woods weren't natural. The trees pulsed slightly, like breathing. The air grew thick, like underwater pressure. June guided me to a clearing where an old stone well sat. She stood beside it. People think purity means goodness, she said, but it means truth, the absolute unfiltered truth, about who you are, about what you've done. I stepped closer. The well had no bottom. When I looked in, I saw my childhood bedroom, my parents yelling, my hands over my ears. Then flashes of every moment I'd ever been cruel, dishonest, selfish. The well showed everything, and it didn't blink. I fell backward, gasping. June knelt beside me. That's why people leave changed, if they leave at all. I asked her what she saw when she looked in. She didn't answer. She simply said, they'll decide soon. That night, the motel door creaked open on its own. I was frozen in place. A cold wind rushed in, and something entered. I didn't see it, but I felt it, a weight on my chest, like hands pressing down without touch. I blacked out. When I woke up, June was in the chair. You're still here, she said softly. That's a good sign. Most people don't wake up. I wanted to leave. I packed my bags, rushed to my car. But the road was gone. Literally. In its place was thick forest. The GPS spun uselessly. I drove in circles until I was back at the chapel. The townspeople were outside, watching silently. Rebecca, Harold, even the motel desk, now manned by a pale boy with white eyes. You're being tested, he said. You always were, since the moment you stepped in. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. The whispers were constant now. They knew my thoughts, my fears. I saw myself, again and again, in dreams I couldn't wake from, lying, stealing, betraying. Not just to others, but to myself. June visited daily. She never judged, just listened. Most people can't face it, she explained. They break apart. The pines don't keep the broken. Only the purest stay. On the 7th night, I stood before the well again. This time alone. The vision changed. I saw not just the bad, but also the good. I saw myself helping a stranger when no one was looking, crying after hurting someone, and making it right. Moments I forgot. Regrets I carried but tried to correct. The well pulsed. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, the town was gone. Trees where buildings stood. No chapel. No motel. Just forest. My car sat alone by the road, the keys in the ignition. The GPS worked again. I drove for hours, eventually reaching the nearest city. When I uploaded the footage, most of it was corrupted. The only file that remained clear was a shot of me, standing in the clearing, staring into the well, eyes wide. The date stamp was from 5 years earlier. I checked my ID. The issue date was 3 years ago. The world had moved on without me. Emails unanswered. Friends thinking I disappeared. No one remembered Hollow Pines. I tried posting the story. No one believed it. But I still dream of June. Still hear the humming. The only proof I have is a small piece of paper I found in my pocket when I left. On it, written in faded red ink, were 4 words.